What up, tubers? Bunny here, and welcome back to GeoFlight Simulator. So this week, I'm going to be talking about altitude and, well, more particularly, the atmospheric realism of this flight simulator. So there might be some flight simulators where the atmosphere is the same density at sea level as it is maybe like 50 miles up if you choose to fly your plane that high in such simulators. However, in GeoFlight Simulator, this is not the case. The atmosphere is correctly simulated up to an altitude of about 120,000 feet. So that's pretty much the gist of this thing. So I guess I can call it an end here. Goodbye. No. You probably want to see a demonstration of this thing. Assuming, of course, I still have your undivided attention. In which case, if I do, let me go ahead and demonstrate, starting with the Cessna 172. So for this video, you're going to want to be keeping an eye on this tachometer here, which I just zoomed into. So I'm going to go ahead and firewall the throttle, meaning I'm applying full thrust. And if you're wondering where I am at the NASA shuttle landing facility at Cape Canaveral, Florida. So I'm applying full throttle right now, and you notice that the needle is pointed right at the red line. That indicates that the engine is operating under maximum possible thrust, full throttle. But then you'll notice that as I increase my altitude, you might not notice right now my climb is a little too realistic and slow, but the needle will eventually start dropping down. Like, I still have full power engaged, but even now I'm noticing that the needle's no longer pointing right at the red line. So I'm only getting like 99, 98% possible thrust now. You will notice a more noticeable change, however, if I go up to 10,000 feet. So let me go ahead and firewall the throttle again. Now you see that the needle is in the green. Like, I'm only getting like 70% possible thrust out of this thing because I am that high up. Because, well, there are fewer oxygen molecules up here for the propeller blades to push back. That's basically how this whole thing works with a plane. It produces some sort of thrust, whether it's a propeller pushing air backwards, or it's a jet engine producing some sort of exhaust thrust. But yes, simple application of Newton's third law. For every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. There's just not enough oxygen molecules up here for the engine, even under full power, to create as much momentum upon the oxygen molecules flying backwards. But nevertheless, I'm still able to operate this aircraft with a decent amount of power. But let's say I go to 20,000 feet, and now I apply full thrust. Well, now I'm only getting like 30%, 40% total possible thrust. Because, once again, there's even fewer oxygen molecules up. Likewise, if I go to 30,000 feet, if I try to apply thrust, I have it at full throttle right now, but my engine is basically at idle right now. Like, you see the needle's pointing not even at the 10 mark. That's right around where the engine, where the needle points when the engine is at idle. In fact, let me show you quickly. So let me just go to the ground, and you see right now the engine is at idle. You notice the needle is pointing right at 10. Well, if I go to 40,000 feet, my engine's basically dead. The blade is not even spinning. The needle's pointing right at 0, and even if I try to apply full thrust, nothing happens. my engine is basically dead. There's not enough oxygen up here to... Well, not only not enough oxygen to push the air molecules back, but keep in mind that the engine of, say, a Cessna 172, which is the aircraft I'm flying, by the way, is different. It's similar to like the engine you might find in your car. Okay, it's pretty much like a special internal combustion engine, but instead of providing power to the wheels, this thing provides power to this blade. That's basically all that happens. So yes, my engine is dead up here, so I could probably switch to another aircraft. And you know what? That actually does it for the basic demonstration of altitude, because you got the point seen right there. However, there are a few aircraft. I will show you that there are some aircraft that are capable of flying higher, and that there are some weird things that go on sometimes when you get at high altitudes. But anyway, first a brief demonstration of some aircraft that can fly higher. Take a look at this 737, for example. Observe the tachometer. Right now it's at 10%. That's engine idle. I'm going to go ahead and hit full throttle. And you see that the needle goes right to 100. See, the shuttle landing facility is, but looks like 15 feet above, no, 25 feet above sea level. It's not that, it doesn't have that high of an elevation. So what if I went to 10,000 feet? So one thing to note on jet-powered aircraft is that even when you go to higher altitudes, the needle will stay at 10%, which I have the engine at idle right now. It will stay at 10%. That's as low as it will go unless you hit the engine off button. In which case, now you see the needle is dropping beneath 10%. My engine is now spooling down. Actually, you know what? I'm going to turn it back on because I would like to show you the fact that this engine also sees its thrust compromised at higher altitude. So actually, I'm going to reset the flight so that I have this thing back at 10%. So let me go ahead and hit full thrust. And you will notice the needle only goes not even to 90% thrust. So yes, the engines are now only operating at 90% the possible max thrust up here at 10,000 feet altitude. And you will notice really a more dramatic decrease in thrust as I fly higher. Like at 20,000 feet, it's about 78% max thrust. 30,000 feet, full thrust gives me only 67% total maximum thrust. 40,000 feet is not even going to give me 60% possible thrust. Like, I think I'm at 56% thrust. So this is the same. This is pretty much the same as if I had applied like... Oh, also you see that I'm getting this stall warning here and am having a hard time keeping this thing level. That's because at almost 40,000 feet, you have to be flying high speeds if you want to keep level flight. So like, yeah, I was above 200 knots, and at sea level, that would be more than enough speed to allow me to take off. But again, get as much engine power, so it's a little trickier to get to high speed. Imagine if I had taken off from the ground and then worked my way up to 40,000 feet. I probably could have achieved speeds like 400 knots by the time I reached this altitude. So yes, only 56% thrust. Now, I need to warn you about something. So, I'm going to pick an airplane, and I believe I'm going to choose the A330. This is a community contribution, by the way. So let me go ahead and, okay. So you notice that the needle is pointing at 10% right now, 10% thrust. If I hit full thrust, you notice the needle goes right to 100%. That is not realistic. I can assure you that the engines are only receiving probably 60% its total potential amount of thrust at these high altitudes, 37,000 feet. Like, you see, my plane is struggling to get above 325. In fact, I'm back in this climb, trying to keep a normal climb, by the way, and my plane is losing speed. I do not have the required amount of thrust. I do not have as much thrust as the tachometer is suggesting that I have. So some tachometers are a little bugged by that. But another thing that it is bugged by, if I go back into one of Xavier's aircraft, and Xavier is the developer of GeoFlight Simulator, by the way. Alright, F-16 Fighting Falcon. I actually just talked about her last week. So, you notice the tachometer says 10%. Well, let me activate the afterburner, and you notice the needle goes straight to 100%. Is that accurate? Well, maybe in the afterburner. So let me send the thrust back to like 90%. And you notice that I'm not getting a lot of... Okay, I'm like 350 knots, but I don't think I have as much thrust as the tachometer suggests I have. Once I apply the afterburner, however, yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm blasting off from here. I mean, really, an afterburner is pretty much a rocket engine if you think about it. It's loud, it's noisy. Those are two adjectives meaning the same thing, dummy. It produces a buttload of thrust. And of course, as with all fighter jets, the engineers stick this thing at the plane's anus. How indecent. No. Actually, interestingly, a rocket engine, if you think about it, is just a special kind of jet engine. Instead of sucking air into the combustion chamber, into the engine systems from the atmosphere outside, it just sucks in air from special propellant tanks. Kind of interesting. But that's not the point of this video. So the thrust is not accurately depicted on this tachometer. Nevertheless, I am capable of flying the Fighting Falcon to high altitudes. Like, I can easily get this thing up to 60,000 feet and cruise there. However, there is limits to this aircraft. Like, I couldn't fly this thing to space if I wanted to. However, Space Shuttle Atlantis can. So let me go full thrust. And we have liftoff, baby! And this will actually allow me to demonstrate one last thing that ought to be noted about GeoFS's atmosphere. And that is the fact that it's not always accurate. It has some simulated limits to it. So, I mean, the atmosphere is pretty accurate through high altitudes like this. Like, I'm blasting through 15,000 feet now. I'm about to blast through 20,000 feet. And those atmospheric conditions are correct at those altitudes too. Oh, no! Hang on. Alright, I'm back at 40,000 feet. So, as I was saying before the game crashed right there, atmosphere will depict realistically as your aircraft, or spacecraft in this case, flies higher and higher. However, you will eventually get to a point where the atmosphere ends and space begins. And in GeoFS's case, it is not going to be at the Kármán line, otherwise known as 330,000 feet, which is the internationally agreed upon altitude where Earth's atmosphere officially ends and space begins. In GeoFlight Simulator, the atmosphere will suddenly end at 120,000 feet. So I'm at 110 right now. I'm actually about to lose aerodynamic control. I'm losing aerodynamic control now, and stall warnings, but those stall warnings don't even matter. Because now I gotta struggle with keeping this thing stable as it flies not only higher, but also faster. Like, this spacecraft is capable of 18,000 miles an hour. Actually, in GeoFlight Simulator, it can fly even faster than that. Actually, a few weeks ago, made a video where I flew the space shuttle around the world, trying to do it in 8 minutes or less. Didn't achieve that. However, I did achieve sending this shuttle to a speed of over 19,000 miles per hour, which is not even a realistic speed in real life. The shuttle could never fly that fast. So, okay, I think we're approaching 300,000 feet. The Tachometer is freaking out. Not that that thing matters, because there is no air up here. In fact, this is the internationally agreed upon boundary where atmosphere ends, space begins. So here I am, in outer space. Let me ditch these solids. I don't need them anymore. Haven't need them for a while. Actually, I can keep this rocket stable, at least in the pitch. But if I have to try yaw, it will get unstable. And don't even ask about roll. This thing doesn't even seem to have roll RCS thrusters on it. Also, these RCS thrusters on spacecraft. Yes, there are RCS thrusters on spacecraft in GeoFlight Simulator. However, they will not accurately, they will not really come on unless your engines are on. In which case, my engines are at full throttle, so I am able to control this aircraft's attitude up at these altitudes. So yeah, I might try to go for like orbital velocities. Maybe I can get myself to orbit the Earth. So I'm going to need like 15,000 knots at least, which translates to over 17,200 miles an hour. But yeah, okay. I've got this bird stable. Atlantis is stable. So maybe, yeah, maybe I can keep this thing going until I am stably in orbit. Actually, you know what, hang on. I don't want to go to orbit. I want to show you one last quick thing, just to confirm that the atmosphere doesn't work. What is my altitude anyway? 637,000 feet. Congratulations, you dumb bunny. So, yes, I am in space. As you can see by the contrails, the F-16 Fighting Falcon is, it's got some forward velocity, but mostly the cause of its acceleration is through gravity. This bird falling through a vacuum. Oh, and the contrails are not realistic, for the obvious reason that there is no atmosphere at 600,000 feet. This aircraft should not have any contrails at all. And in fact, if I activate the afterburner, it should not be glowing this bright orange yellow that you see right here. But yeah, you notice the speedometer is increasing, but if I apply the engine power, it's not doing anything to the forward velocity of this aircraft. That will not happen until I get back to about 120,000 feet. In fact, even as high as 130,000 feet, there will be enough atmosphere there where the F-16 will finally start being able to regain some control. It'll start having some atmospheric effects. But I probably won't hang around for that. I think this is actually about time for me to call an end to this week's GeoFlight Simulator video. So next week, I'm actually going to cut off the afterburner. I don't need that. So next week, I'm going to be talking about the ADS-B traffic. Did I spell that out correctly? ADS-B, yes, commercial traffic. It's a multiplayer setting, and it's quite interesting. Basically, it allows you to see aircraft buzzing around in the real world generated in GeoFlight Simulator. But I'll go into further details about that. I think I finally figured out how that works, so I can show you how to make the most out of that experience. But anyway, I'm just going to keep falling like a stone here. What is my velocity at this point? I'm going 2,700 knots, all because of my terminal velocity. So yeah, I'm pretty much dead. Like, yeah, if I open up the cockpit, my aircraft would probably start exploding because of pressure differences. So yeah, but anyway, that's everything for this week's explanation. I think, what is my altitude? Oh! I'm about to hit the Earth's atmosphere again, GeoFS's atmosphere again. So I will at least show you that. 170, 160, 150. Any second now I should be regaining aerodynamic properties. There we go, there we go, there we go. I've regained aerodynamic properties, and I am barreling toward the ground at super high velocity. Hey, what is my velocity? 3427. Okay. So I'm probably going to have my game crash any second now because I am flying high speeds. You know what? Let's just go for a spinning barrel roll of death. That'll be fine. Yeah. So anyway, that concludes this week's video. So I'm Space Bun. I hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks for watching. See you all next week. Sierra Bravo 717 checking out.